Shalom Kolayim La Yahweh Shai Bahashem Kakudash. Um, of course, the honors to the elders, apostles, and bishops of Great Millstone really well. Peace and salutations to all the Aki mighty laboring in his truth. This is just a quick update in the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai. I'm gonna play this video, fair use, fair use. Let's get into it.
In Southeast Little Rock that probably doesn't look like much right now, but there is a very good chance that this location is going to be home to the next Google data center powering AI. So here's what we know right now. First, where is this spot exactly? Well, it's in Southeast Little Rock, like I said, very close to the community of Sweet Home. There's a road right here you can look up. It's called Harper Road. So we are right next to that. And we know that this data center is coming because the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Little Rock District put out a public notice that they're evaluating the land. And that's standard procedure. They have to do it for all projects like this. They'll look at things like environmental impacts, cultural concerns, or significance to the land. And so the Army Corps is looking at all of that right now. I talked to them today, and in that public notice they put out, there was a piece of information that this data center will use about 100 megawatts of power. And if you're wondering how much that is, that could basically power every home in Little Rock. So that amount of power to power all the homes in Little Rock will be used by this data center right behind me, assuming that it gets approved. Now, the Army Corps is doing their evaluation right now. There's a public comment period, and you'll be able to find more information on that on our website, thv11.com.
So yeah, this is that was TV 11 out here in Arkansas, Little Rock. Arkansas Gazette said Google supported Little Rock data center to draw more than 100 megawatts of power. That's a whole lot of power. The guy just said, the news guy said that that's enough to power all the homes in Little Rock. Okay, so are we in the midst of a energy crisis or not? All right, so this is a news clip, man. This is March 23rd, so it was a couple weeks ago. And I must state, fair use for commentary, reaction purposes under the Copyright Act of 1976. All right, Section 107, fair use, fair use.
As Americans feel the shock of higher gas prices at the pump, there's another energy crisis brewing across the country, but the people who actually run the electrical grid issuing stark warnings. For 100 years, America's electrical system, mostly stable, with blackouts being the rare exception. But when they do happen, they can have exceptional consequences.
The situation here in Brownsville was described as anarchy, war, rioting.
Every source of power that the state of Texas has been compromised.
Now a new combination of the latest artificial intelligence data centers and aging power plants is creating a perfect storm, from the big city to the Great Plains.
It's becoming more of a challenge across the whole eastern part of the United States.
Rich Dewey oversees NISO, which runs the grid in New York.
Rich, you say the grid is at an inflection point. What does that mean?
Really, it's a confluence of a number of different factors. So we're on the cusp of really new technologies coming onto the grid, and it's really got us concerned about our ability to meet reliability for not only for New York City, but for the state as a whole.
Dewey says on a peak day, the demand is 32 to 33,000 megawatts. Now they have proposals for 13,000 more megawatts in demand for AI alone, a nearly 50% increase.
At a time.
All right, so you just seen the stats. This is for New York. They said that the demand was like 33,000 megawatts. What did Arkansas need for the data center? 100 million. I was going to turn this portion into a lesson, but it fits perfectly with this. This is what Bill Gates of hell is doing. It says, it's a Yahoo News, and this is on April 5th, right? It said government approves construction permit for Bill Gates backed Terra Power commercial nuclear reactor. So this man, he been buying up a lot of farmland. Okay. So you can guess what he's doing, but I thought he was, of course he's venturing into general artificial intelligence, or AI in general, data centers and whatnot, but he's building his own nuclear reactor. And think of it like this. Now, Iran can't even have a nuclear reactor for fear of them decimating their neighbors or striking America down with a ICBM. But you got this heathen right here, this devil, this Edomite. He can build a whole nuclear reactor on the United States unchecked. You see how this works? All right. So the earth is giving it to the hand of the wicked, man. You know? Yeah, literally. Look, on March 4th, for the first time in 8 years, the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission approved a construction permit for a commercial nuclear reactor, which is to be built in western Wyoming, the Associated Press reported. TerraPower, a company backed by its own primary founder, Bill Gates. So you can buy, if you buy a power company, you can build a nuclear reactor. Okay, so he's a primary founder. He's going to build a sodium-cooled reactor in the area to be completed in 2030. The project is reportedly worth $4 billion. He says, we have spent thousands of manpower hours working to achieve this momentous accomplishment, TerraPower President and CEO Chris Levesque said in a statement. The new plant will be situated very close to a former coal plant that has been converted to burn methane gas, AP News reported. It is also 130 miles from Salt Lake City, Utah. Okay? So the proximity to Utah is something to note as well. That's where the Mormons are, right? All right? And they claim to be, just like the Tiny Tops claim to be. Okay? You know what I'm saying? So it said once it's built and put into commission, the reactor is expected to have an everyday capacity of 345 megawatts. All right, so it says when pushed to its limits, it will produce almost 500 megawatts. That amount of electricity is enough to power about 400,000 homes. That's a lot of power, a lot of homes, right? It says is expected to help lower the rising cost of electricity in the area caused by the construction of AI data centers. So that area has seen an influx of AI data center construction, as in any major city you can think of, in any small town you can think of. They plan on really taking over large swaths of land and planting these data centers, and to boot nuclear facilities, okay, alongside to help power this AI generation to boost the economy, quote unquote, according to them. This is how they plan on doing it. So Google is going to be using, their own power plant, their own powered facility. I just read something else about Little Rock, because it's the Bill and Hillary Clinton International Airport. They got what they call a geothermal energy production center. It's the book of Malachi 1:4, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. All right, so the desolate places are places that are unoccupied, empty places like that field that you saw in the beginning of this video. All right, that's considered a desolate place. Nothing was there, nothing going on, no development. So they figured, hey, we're just going to plop a artificial intelligence data center right here. Boom, we just put it right here. Boom, nobody's using it. Right, not realizing it's going to affect the ecosystems. It's going to dirty up the waters. It's going to affect the wildlife that live there. And of course, the plants, the trees, and everything like that. And the air quality is going to change. All right, it was something happened in the next state over from me. I think it was Memphis, in the city of Memphis. Whereas, if I'm mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, brothers, in the comments. But they put one of those data centers there, and it was one of Elon Musk's data centers. And it said people there ended up dying mysteriously. It's because of the methane gas that they were pumping into the atmosphere, because they had put their own energy producing facilities there that pumped out the methane gas, and people was getting sick, people was getting cancer and dropping off. Okay, and this is a primarily Jake community. You see, all right. So these people are building things and destroying the ecosystems, and not really even caring about the fallout that happens behind what they do. Okay, and they're doing it for profit margins and to be able to collect data on people that they ultimately end up selling to third parties, often abroad in the form of these junk bonds, all digitized. And so what they're doing now is they forming new commodities through these digital payments, all right? And trust and believe, every time you interact with an artificial intelligence, it's gathering more and more data on you, gathering your thoughts, what you really think, the questions that you ask. That information is valuable to people abroad. Okay, people want to know what you think. They want to know your search queries. They try to tap into your mind. All right. Not only that, they're trying to really tap into your mind through the Neuralink systems and stuff like that. All of these biotech companies coming out. Bio means body. Tech is technical. Computers, right? Programming, chips, stuff like that. They want to really get into your mind, right? With these false miracles and lying wonders that Esau got, right? Saying, "Oh, we're gonna give you these abilities to be able to see if you can't see, the ability to hear if you can't hear." I heard Elon Musk say some shit like he said, "You're gonna be able to control your Bluetooth devices, like your phone. You'll be able to listen to music. You're just gonna be saying, 'Hey Google' or 'Hey Siri' or whoever's in your head." You're gonna be able to request some music, and that shit gonna play it. And then they're saying also, "Oh, we'll be able to make you more intelligent, so you'll be able to upload by just thinking about it, right, through their systems." Think about that. If they can upload that type of data to your brain, right, using your cerebral cortex, tapping into your brain stem, and uploading like that, then they can control your movement remotely. And this is exactly the end goal. They want really people controlling it. You know, they want to control people like robots. You be walking around and you just start glitching out. Start looking like you pop locking or some shit like that. They be like, "Man, what's wrong with that dude?" Then he starts smoking. Remember the first generation of the Tesla cars? They was catching fire. You imagine walking down the street seeing a Edomite. He just start twitching out of nowhere and smoke start coming out in their ears. Look, man, they own shit gonna destroy them. Let's read this. It say, "Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord power Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever." Right? Because these people, they stay doing wicked stuff, man. They destroying the earth, destroying the planet, the place that Yahweh Shai made, his creation. He beautified it originally, and then look what happened to it. You know what I'm saying? It's still parts of it that's beautiful and natural and raw, and we appreciate those things, but they trying to stop us from even seeing those places, right? 2 Ezra 15:17, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able." All right, so that's gonna happen, man. This is prophecy. All right, the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy, man. All right, so they want 15-minute cities. They want programmable money, smart contract, blockchain, all through Swift. All right, so that's what's gonna happen. That's coming, and that's coming sooner than brothers and sisters think. All right, this stuff. This stuff is fast approaching. All right, the technology is there, the infrastructure is laid, what they call the plumbing is laid. Okay, now they're about to start running this digital money through the system like that. It's running parallel right now. My last video I talked about that. The legacy system and the blockchain system now run parallel until they get ready to offline or offload the legacy system, and it's gonna be no more. Right, the so-called phoenix that's gonna rise from the ashes of a burnt dollar is gonna be that cryptocurrency, and that's when they're gonna start mandating shit, mandating the CHIP. All right, let's get that real quick. So this is why they building all the data centers, because they need to be able to track data on every single individual, right? And this is another reason why Starlink, all right, communications, all right, to be able to facilitate fast transactions, all right, on a fiber optic network, the 6G. All right, don't make no mistake, okay? This is Revelation chapter 13 and 16. Right, this is what these devils are doing. It said, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. That means everybody to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark of or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now, when it says he causeth all, that means that the people that pretty much get tricked, okay, into taking that mark of the beast, he gonna cause them all to do it. But the elect ain't going to accept it. They're not going to take the mark of the beast system, and they already know. That's why they got these internment camps, these so-called concentration camps already set up. I heard DJT in the Euro 47 is trying to reopen Alcatraz. You know what he going to do with that. They already buying up industrial warehouses right now, low key. But it's already being exposed. It's already been exposed that they putting incinerators there. You know what those are. Big ass ovens. Okay? They got the use of noxious gases and other things. You know, like the guillotine. Okay? You know, there's gonna be some people beheaded. I remember years ago hearing a brother's testimony about seeing a lot of Jake, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans at these internment camps, sitting on bleachers, standing in lines, getting ready to be off by these devils. Because the devil, you know his time is short. And his truth is getting out there. And they figuring out real quick, okay, well, we need to get rid of these people because they saying this and that. And it's going to be pretty much viewed as treason or sedition. All right, against them. And they in their order or whatever in the world. They don't like being exposed. They don't like being put in a hot seat. They don't like the light shining on them, on their deeds and their actions, because it really the scriptures reveal them as the wicked. All right, the anti-Hamashiach, the true anti-Hamashiach on the earth, so-called YT man. All right, so with that being said, Lord's willing is edifying. Like I said, I want to make this a quick one into the next one. To the sincere Akiam, keep your head up. You know, be circumspect, be occupied. Stay occupied in these prophecies, man. All right, to the next one, Shalom.